Commander Thexeron stood on the bridge of his warship and looked at the blue planet on his screen. It was beautiful in a simple way. Blue oceans, green lands, white clouds, nothing special, just another world waiting to be conquered. "Tell me about this planet," he said to his science officer. The science officer, a young female named Kisara, pulled up the data on her screen. The planet is called Earth by its people. They call themselves humans. They have not developed faster than light travel. Their weapons are primitive. They use chemical explosives and something called bullets. They have no energy shields, no plasma weapons, nothing that can hurt our ships. Thexeron smiled. His sharp teeth showed in the dim light of the bridge. Another easy victory. How many soldiers do they have? Their militaries are divided among many nations. They fight each other constantly. There is no unified government. They spend more time killing each other than anything else. This made Thexeron laugh. A divided species was a weak species. The Vthkai Dominion had conquered 12 worlds in the last 100 years. All of them had been easy. Primitive species always were. They would surrender after seeing the power of the Vthkai fleet. If they did not surrender, they would be destroyed. It was simple. "Prepare the invasion fleet," Thexeron ordered. "We leave in 3 cycles." Kisara hesitated. Her fingers stopped moving over her screen. "Commander, there are some notes in the survey data, things that seem strange." "What kind of notes?" "The humans have weapons called nuclear bombs. They are very powerful. They can destroy entire cities. They have already used them. On themselves. They also have chemical weapons and biological weapons. They have developed many ways to kill each other." Thexeron waved his hand. "Primitive weapons. Our shields can stop anything they throw at us." "There is more," Kisara continued. "Their history is very violent. They have fought major wars every generation. Millions of their own species have died in these conflicts. One war killed over 60 million of them. Another killed over 30 million. They recovered from both within decades. So they are violent and stupid. This makes them easier to conquer, not harder." Kisara looked uncomfortable. "Commander, I have never seen a species like this. Most species we conquer have peaceful histories. They develop technology through cooperation. The humans developed their technology through war. Almost every major advance they made came from trying to kill each other better." Thexeron walked to her station and looked at the data himself. He saw the wars she mentioned. He saw the weapons. He saw the numbers of dead. For a moment, something cold touched his mind, but he pushed it away. He was a commander of the Vthkai Dominion. He had never lost a battle. He would not start worrying about primitives now. "Enough," he said. "Prepare the fleet. This world will fall like all the others." 3 cycles later, the invasion fleet gathered in deep space. 50 warships, 20 troop carriers, 10 supply vessels. It was more than enough for a primitive world. Thexeron had used smaller fleets to conquer more advanced species. The fleet jumped into hyperspace and began the journey to Earth. What Thexeron did not know was that a small ship was racing toward them. It was a diplomatic courier from the Galactic Council. Inside was an ambassador named Velrix, and he was terrified. Velrix had seen the invasion orders. He had immediately contacted the Council. The Council's response had been immediate and panicked. They told him to stop the Vthkai at any cost. They gave him a single message to deliver to Commander Thexeron. "Do not invade Earth. Do not contact Earth. Do not go near Earth. Turn around immediately." But the courier ship was small and slow. The invasion fleet was fast. By the time Velrix reached the coordinates where the fleet had gathered, they were already gone. He could see the energy traces of their hyperspace jump. They were heading to Earth. Velrix sat in his pilot seat and put his head in his hands. He had failed. The Vthkai were about to make the worst mistake in galactic history. He opened a communication channel to the Council and spoke with a shaking voice. "I was too late. They are gone. The Vthkai are going to invade Earth." There was silence on the other end. Then the elder speaker's voice came through, old and tired and full of something that sounded like grief. "Then may the stars have mercy on them. The humans will not." The invasion fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. Thexeron stood on his bridge and looked at the distant sun. Somewhere ahead was Earth. Somewhere ahead was his next conquest. "Begin approach," he ordered. "Standard invasion pattern. We will position ourselves over their major cities and broadcast the surrender demand. The fleet moved forward. They passed a ringed giant planet. They passed a red planet with ancient scars on its surface. They approached the blue world. As they got closer, they detected signals, radio waves, television broadcasts. The humans were sending information into space constantly. They had no idea anyone was listening. Thexeron watched some of the broadcasts on his screen. He saw humans talking, laughing, fighting, crying. He saw their cities, their vehicles, their primitive aircraft. He saw their weapons. He also saw something else. He saw their entertainment. He saw stories about war, stories about survival, stories about never giving up, stories about fighting against impossible odds and winning. But Thexeron did not understand what he was seeing. He thought these were just fantasies. He did not realize he was looking at the human soul. "We are in position," his navigation officer announced. "All ships report ready." "Good," Thexeron said. "Open a channel. Broadcast on all frequencies. Let these humans know that their new masters have arrived." The message went out. It was translated into every human language. It was broadcast to every radio, every television, every phone, every computer on the planet. The message was simple: surrender or die. Thexeron waited for the response. He expected fear. He expected panic. He expected leaders begging for mercy. What he got was something very different. Narration Galaxy Council. "Shocked you actually dared to invade Earth." The message from the Vthkai fleet was clear: surrender or die. Every human on Earth heard it. Every government received it. Every military saw the alien ships hanging in the sky like dark clouds. For exactly 17 minutes, the world was silent. People stood in the streets and looked up. They saw the ships. They saw the proof that they were not alone in the universe. They saw an enemy. And then something happened that the Vthkai did not expect. Something that had never happened before in human history. Every nation on Earth stopped fighting each other. It happened so fast that military commanders could not believe their own reports. In the Middle East, soldiers who had been shooting at each other an hour ago were now sharing ammunition and pointing their weapons at the sky. In Asia, two countries that had been enemies for 1,000 years opened their borders and began moving troops together. In Africa, civil wars ended with handshakes and new alliances. The United Nations held an emergency meeting. It lasted 30 minutes. At the end, every nation voted yes to a single resolution: total unified resistance. No negotiations, no surrender. The American president called the Russian president. They talked for 5 minutes and agreed on everything. The Chinese leader joined the call, then the British, then the French, then everyone else. Within 6 hours, humanity had achieved something that philosophers had dreamed about for centuries: complete global unity, one species, one goal, one enemy. Commander Thexeron watched his communication screens with growing confusion. He was receiving messages from Earth, but they were not what he expected. There were no surrender offers. There were no requests for mercy. Instead, he was receiving insults, threats, promises of violence. "What is happening?" he asked his officers. "Why are they not afraid?" No one had an answer. The humans were moving. Satellites that normally watched each other were now watching the alien ships. Missiles that normally pointed at enemy nations were being reprogrammed. Aircraft that normally flew in formation against each other were joining together in massive wings. And everywhere, people were preparing. In Russia, an old woman named Svetlana heard the alien message on her radio. She was 73 years old. She had survived wars, famines, and the collapse of empires. She had buried 2 husbands and raised 5 children. She was not afraid of aliens. She went to her basement and found her grandfather's old bottles. She filled them with gasoline. She tore cloth into strips. She made Molotov cocktails just like her grandmother had taught her during the Great Patriotic War. When the first Vthkai landing craft touched down outside her village, Svetlana was waiting. She stood in the middle of the road with a bottle in each hand and a smile on her face. The Vthkai soldiers stepped out of their craft. They were tall and covered in armor. They carried energy weapons that could vaporize a human in one shot. They expected the primitive humans to run. Svetlana lit her first bottle and threw it. It exploded against the chest of the lead soldier. He screamed and fell. covered in flames. His armor was designed to stop energy weapons and bullets. It was not designed to stop burning liquid. Svetlana threw her second bottle at the landing craft. The fuel tank caught fire. The craft exploded. She did not survive, but neither did the soldiers. And across the world, the same scene repeated in 1,000 different ways. In Texas, a farmer named Jake heard the alien message and grabbed his hunting rifles. He called his neighbors. Within an hour, 50 men and women with guns were hiding in the woods near a predicted landing zone. When the Vthkai soldiers came, they walked into an ambush. The humans fired from every direction. The aliens fell one by one. In Japan, an engineer named Yuki heard the message and went to her laboratory. She worked for 3 hours without stopping. She built a device that could jam alien communications. She did not know if it would work. It did. An entire Vthkai battalion lost contact with their commanders and wandered into a trap. In Brazil, a gang leader named Carlos heard the message. He had spent his life fighting other gangs. Now he had a new enemy. He united every gang in his city. He armed them with everything they had. When the aliens came for the city, they found that every street was a battlefield. The Vthkai had expected to conquer Earth in a week. After 1 week, they had lost 3,000 soldiers and had not captured a single city. Commander Thexeron stood on his bridge and read the casualty reports. His hands were shaking. This was not possible. These were primitives. They had no technology. They had no training. How were they winning? His science officer, Kesara, approached him carefully. Commander, I have been studying the human resistance. I think I understand what is happening. Explain. The humans have a concept they call total war. When they feel threatened, every member of their species becomes a soldier. Children carry messages. Old people build weapons. Wounded soldiers keep fighting until they die. They do not surrender. They do not retreat. They only fight. That is insane, Thexeron said. No species fights like that. This species does. Their history proves it. They have done this before many times. They call it defending their home. They will die before they give up. Every single one of them. Thexeron looked at the planet on his screen. The beautiful blue planet. The planet that was now killing his soldiers every minute of every day. He thought about the old woman with the burning bottles. He thought about the farmers with their primitive guns. He thought about the engineers and gang members and ordinary people who were fighting with everything they had. And for the first time in his long career, Commander Thexeron felt something he had never felt before. Fear. He looked at his officers. They were afraid too. He could see it in their eyes. They had conquered 12 worlds. They had never faced anything like this. What do we do? His first officer asked. Thexeron did not know. He had always known what to do before. Attack, conquer, win. But these humans did not follow the rules. They did not surrender when they were outmatched. They did not run when they were outnumbered. They just kept fighting and fighting and fighting. Down on Earth, a captured Vthkai soldier sat in an interrogation room. Human officers stood around him, asking questions. Where was his fleet? What were their plans? What were their weaknesses? The soldier refused to talk. He was trained to resist interrogation. He was not afraid of these primitives. One of the human officers leaned close to him and smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of a predator. You have no idea what you have stepped in, the human said. You came to our planet. You threatened our families. You think you know war? You have never seen war. But you will. I promise you, you will. The Vthkai soldier looked into the human's eyes. He saw something there that made his blood run cold. He saw joy. The human was not angry or afraid or desperate. The human was excited. And in that moment, the soldier understood. His people had made a terrible mistake. They had not invaded a primitive world. They had invaded a world of warriors, a world of predators, a world of monsters who wore the faces of civilized beings. They had invaded Earth, and Earth was fighting back. Commander Thexeron had lost contact with 37 ground units in the first week. By the end of the second week, that number had grown to 112. His soldiers were dying in ways he had never imagined possible. The reports coming from the surface were like nightmares. In one city, his soldiers had marched through the streets expecting easy victory. The humans had retreated underground. They had gone into the sewers, the subway tunnels, the basements. When the Vthkai soldiers searched the buildings, they found them empty. Then the humans attacked from below. They came up through the floors. They came out of the walls. They dragged soldiers into the darkness and killed them silently. In another region, his soldiers had secured a farming area. They thought the humans had fled. Then the animals attacked. The humans had strapped explosives to their livestock. Cows walked calmly into Vthkai camps and exploded. Dogs ran at soldiers with bombs on their backs. Even the birds were weapons. The humans had tied grenades to pigeons and released them over military positions. Thexeron could not understand it. These were animals, pets, food. How could anyone use them as weapons? But the worst reports came from the occupied zones. The Vthkai had captured some towns and placed soldiers there to maintain control. The humans in those towns did not fight openly. They smiled and obeyed and pretended to accept their new rulers. Then soldiers started dying. One soldier ate food given by a human woman. He died screaming, his insides burning from poison. Another soldier drank water from a well. He died the same way. A third soldier slept in a human bed. He never woke up. Something had been placed in the mattress. Something that killed without a sound. Children would approach soldiers with friendly faces and give them false information. They would lead patrols into ambushes. They would point at empty buildings and say enemies were inside. When the soldiers searched those buildings, real enemies would attack from behind. The Vthkai had a word for this kind of fighting. They called it dishonorable. War was supposed to be fought between soldiers. Civilians were supposed to surrender and obey. That was how civilized species behaved. The humans did not care about honor. They cared about winning. Thexeron called a meeting of his senior officers. They gathered on his ship, and he could see the exhaustion and fear in their faces. None of them had expected this. None of them had prepared for this. "We need to change our strategy," his ground commander said. "We cannot fight them on the surface. Every building is a trap. Every road is an ambush. Every human is an enemy, even the ones who smile at us." "Then we bomb them from orbit," another officer suggested. "Destroy their cities. Kill millions. Show them the price of resistance." Thexeron considered this. It was against the Dominion's usual methods. They preferred to conquer planets intact. Dead worlds were worthless. Slaves were more valuable than corpses. "If we kill too many, we will have nothing left to rule," he said. "Commander," Kisara spoke carefully, "I have been studying their history more deeply. I found something I think you should know." "Speak." 60 of their years ago, the humans fought a great war against each other. One side committed terrible acts. They killed millions of innocents. They thought this would make their enemies afraid. They thought terror would lead to surrender. And it did not work. The other side did not surrender. They became more determined. They fought harder. And when they won, they showed no mercy to the ones who had committed those acts. The humans have a concept called revenge. It is very important to them. Thexeron understood. If they bombed the human cities, the survivors would not surrender. They would fight even harder, and they would never stop until every Vthkai was dead. His first officer stepped forward. "Commander, I must tell you something. We captured a human soldier yesterday. We interrogated him. I thought you should hear what he said." "Tell me." "We asked him how long the humans would fight. He laughed at us. He said they would fight forever. We asked him what it would take for them to surrender. He laughed again. He said humans do not surrender. Not to threats, not to pain, not to death. He said his people had a saying, 'Give me liberty or give me death.' He said every human believed this." Thexeron was silent for a long moment. He had conquered 12 worlds. He had faced many enemies. None of them had been like this. None of them had been so willing to die. "There is more," his first officer continued. "We asked him if he was afraid to die. He said no. He said death was just a price, and freedom was worth any price. Then we asked him if he was afraid of us. What did he say? He laughed. He laughed for a long time. Then he said something I did not understand. He said we were not scary. He said we were just aliens. He said humans had imagined worse things in their stories. He said we were actually disappointing." The officers looked at each other. Disappointing? The Vthkai Dominion, the conquerors of 12 worlds, were disappointing? He said one more thing, the first officer added. He said we had made a mistake coming to Earth. He said humans were not the prey. He said humans were the predators. He said we had just walked into the den of the most dangerous species in the galaxy. And then? And then he smiled. The same smile I have seen on many humans. It is not a happy smile. It is the smile of someone who knows something we do not. It is the smile of a hunter watching its prey walk into a trap. Thexeron dismissed his officers and stood alone on his bridge. He looked at the planet below, the beautiful blue planet that was eating his army piece by piece. He thought about what the captured human had said. Predators, hunters, the most dangerous species in the galaxy. At first it had seemed like arrogance. These were primitives with no space travel and no advanced weapons. How could they be dangerous? But now Thexeron understood. The humans had never needed advanced weapons. They had something more dangerous. They had the will to fight. They had the creativity to find new ways to kill. They had the determination to keep fighting when any other species would surrender. They had spent their entire history killing each other. They had perfected the art of war long before they reached for the stars. And now, for the first time, they were not fighting each other. They were fighting together against him. Thexeron made a decision. He would not admit it to his officers. He would not admit it to anyone. But in his heart, he knew the truth. He had lost. He just did not know how to escape. The humans would not let him retreat. They would not let him surrender. They would not let him live. He had threatened their children. He had invaded their home. And now they would show him what humans did to those who threatened their families. They would show him no mercy, because mercy was for species that had not invaded Earth. The Galactic Council Chamber was the largest room in the known galaxy. It could hold representatives from over 1,000 species. It had seen treaties signed and wars declared. It had witnessed the rise and fall of empires. But it had never seen anything like this. The chamber was in chaos. Representatives were shouting at each other. Some were crying, some were praying to their gods. The elder speaker, a creature older than most civilizations, sat in his ancient chair and watched with tired eyes. The Vthkai ambassador stood in the center of the chamber. His name was Drixtel, and he was confused and angry. He had come to demand that the council condemn the human resistance. He had come to ask for help in conquering the primitive world called Earth. Instead, everyone was looking at him like he was insane. "You invaded Earth?" the representative from the Calyx Confederacy asked. His voice was shaking. "You actually invaded Earth?" "Of course we invaded Earth," Drixtel said. "It is a primitive world with no faster-than-light capability. It is perfect for conquest. Why is everyone acting so strangely?" The chamber fell silent. Then slowly, the elder speaker rose from his chair. He was ancient beyond measure. His body was frail and his movements were slow. But his eyes were sharp and full of something that looked like pity. "Ambassador Drixtel," the elder speaker said, "please tell me this is a joke. Please tell me that the Vthkai Dominion did not actually send a fleet to Earth. It is not a joke. Commander Thexeron leads our finest invasion fleet. He will conquer the planet within the month." The silence that followed was terrible. Then the elder speaker began to laugh. It was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of someone who has just witnessed a tragedy too great for words. "You fool," the elder speaker said softly. "You absolute fool." Drixtel's anger grew. "How dare you speak to me this way? The Vthkai Dominion is a proud civilization. We have conquered 12 worlds. We demand respect." "You will get no respect here," the representative from the Thrix Empire said. He was a large creature covered in scales, and his voice was cold. "You will get only our pity, and perhaps our silence at your funeral." "What are you talking about?" The elder speaker pressed a button on his chair. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. "Earth," the elder speaker said. "Home world of the species called humans. Discovered by our scouts 400 years ago. Observed ever since. Do you know what our official classification for this planet is? A primitive world ripe for conquest, obviously." "No." The elder speaker's voice was hard now. "Our official classification is do not contact, do not approach, do not engage under any circumstances. This classification has been in place for 350 years. It is the highest warning we give to any world. Drixtel was confused. Why? They have no technology. They cannot even leave their own star system. Because they do not need technology to be dangerous. The elder speaker changed the display. Now it showed images from human history. Wars, weapons, death. Look at these images, Ambassador. Look at what these creatures do to each other. The display showed a massive explosion, a city disappearing in a flash of light. This is called a nuclear weapon, the elder speaker explained. The humans developed it 80 of their years ago. It was their first weapon capable of destroying entire cities. Do you know what they did with it? What? They used it, immediately, on each other. They killed hundreds of thousands of their own kind in an instant. And then they built more. They built enough nuclear weapons to destroy their own planet several times over. They pointed these weapons at each other and lived under the constant threat of total destruction for decades. Drixtel felt cold. That is insane. Yes, it is. And that is exactly our point. These creatures are insane. They are the most violent, most creative, most determined species we have ever encountered. They have spent their entire existence fighting. They fight over land. They fight over resources. They fight over ideas. They fight over things that do not even matter. They fight because they enjoy it. The display changed again. It showed humans in combat, soldiers charging into gunfire, pilots crashing their planes into enemy ships, wounded warriors refusing to surrender. They have a concept called no surrender, the elder speaker continued. They have stories about warriors who fought to the last breath. They celebrate these stories. They teach them to their children. They believe that dying in battle is honorable. They believe that retreating is shameful. They will fight until every single one of them is dead. But surely we can defeat them, Drixtel said. His voice was weak now. Our technology is superior. Your technology is irrelevant. The elder speaker turned off the display and looked directly at the ambassador. We observed the humans for 350 years. We watched them fight 2 planetary wars. We watched them develop weapons that could end their species. We watched them nearly destroy themselves again and again. And do you know what conclusion we reached? What? Leave them alone. Do not provoke them. Do not contact them. And for the love of every god in the galaxy, do not invade their homeworld. Because if you do, they will not simply defend themselves. They will come for you. They will follow you to the ends of the universe. They will hunt you until you are extinct. Because that is what humans do. They do not just win wars. They end species. The chamber was silent. Drixtel looked around at the other representatives. He saw fear in every face. These were ancient civilizations, powerful empires, mighty warriors, and they were all afraid of the primitives on the little blue planet. It is too late, Drixtel whispered. The fleet is already there. The invasion has already begun. The elder speaker sat back in his chair. He suddenly looked very old and very tired. Then may the stars have mercy on your people, he said, because the humans will not. The representative from the Calyx Confederacy leaned forward. There is one more thing you should know, Ambassador. The humans have a quality that no other species in the galaxy possesses. They call it spite. What does that mean? It means that even when they are losing, even when there is no hope, they will keep fighting. Not because they think they can win, but because they want to hurt you. They want to make you suffer. They want to make sure that even if they die, you will remember them forever. They will burn your worlds just to see you cry. They will destroy your civilization just to prove a point. They will drag you down into death with them, laughing all the way. Drixtel said nothing. There was nothing to say. He thought about Commander Thexeron. He thought about the invasion fleet. He thought about the soldiers on the surface of Earth. And for the first time in his long career as an ambassador, he felt genuine terror, not for himself, for his entire species. The Vthkai fleet tried to retreat on the 43rd day of the invasion. By then, they had lost 8,000 soldiers. By then, they had learned to fear the darkness, the silence, and the smiling faces of humans. Commander Thexeron gave the order to withdraw. His officers did not argue. They were too tired and too scared to argue. They just wanted to go home. But the humans had other plans. The first ships to attempt retreat were destroyed before they left orbit. Human missiles, launched from the surface, tore through their hulls. These were not the primitive, chemical rockets the Vthkai had expected. These were something new, something designed specifically to kill alien ships. "How is this possible?" Thexeron demanded. "They had no space weapons a month ago." His science officer checked her screens with shaking hands. "They learned, Commander. They captured our landing craft. They studied our technology. They adapted it. In 43 days, the humans had reverse-engineered Vthkai propulsion systems. They had built new weapons using a combination of their nuclear technology and alien engines. They had turned their primitive rockets into ship killers. Thexeron tried to take his fleet higher, beyond the range of surface weapons. But the humans followed. They launched their new missiles from aircraft, from ships, from submarines. They even launched them from trucks that drove across open fields. And the missiles kept coming, hundreds of them, thousands of them. The Vthkai fleet was trapped. They could not retreat. They could not advance. They could only watch as their ships died one by one. On the surface, the tide had turned completely. Human armies were not just defending anymore. They were attacking. They were hunting the remaining Vthkai soldiers with a fury that terrified even veteran warriors. In every occupied zone, the uprising was total. Humans who had pretended to submit were now revealing their true nature. They killed their occupiers with guns, with knives, with their bare hands. They showed no mercy because they had been shown none. Thexeron watched from his burning bridge as his empire collapsed around him. His flagship was the last ship still fighting. All the others had been destroyed or surrendered. His crew was dead or dying. His communications were filled with the screams of his soldiers. And then a message came through. A human message. A human voice. "This is General Marcus Stone of the United Human Defense Force. We are receiving your distress signal. We are prepared to accept your surrender." Thexeron stared at the communication screen. Surrender. The word tasted like poison in his mouth. The Vthkai had never surrendered. Not once in their entire history, but he had no choice. His fleet was gone. His army was gone. His pride was gone. He pressed the communication button with bloody fingers. "This is Commander Thexeron of the Vthkai Dominion. I accept your terms. We surrender." There was silence on the other end. Then the human voice returned. It was cold and hard as stone. "You misunderstand. We are not offering terms. We are offering nothing. You came to our home. You threatened our children. You killed our people. There is no surrender. There is only education." "Education?" Thexeron was confused. "What do you mean?" "We are going to teach you a lesson. We are going to teach the entire galaxy a lesson. We are going to show everyone what happens when you threaten humanity. We are going to make an example of you." The human fleet appeared on his screens. It was not large, but it did not need to be. The ships were ugly and brutal, built for war rather than beauty. They were constructed from wreckage and spite. They were the children of fury. "Please," Thexeron begged. He did not care about pride anymore. He just wanted to live. "We were wrong. We made a mistake. We did not know. Please show mercy." "Mercy?" The human general laughed. It was not a kind laugh. "You want mercy? Let me tell you about mercy. Mercy is for those who deserve it. Mercy is for those who show it. You showed us none. You killed our grandmothers. You bombed our cities. You slaughtered our children. And now you want mercy? I am sorry. I am truly sorry. I know you are. That is the problem. You are only sorry because you lost. If you had won, you would not be sorry at all. You would be proud. You would be celebrating. You would be planning your next conquest." Thexeron said nothing. It was true. All of it was true. "Here is what is going to happen," the general continued. "We are going to destroy your ship. Then we are going to follow the survivors back to your home world. Then we are going to do to you what you tried to do to us. We are going to invade your planet. We are going to conquer your people. And we are going to make sure that no one in the galaxy ever forgets what happens when you threaten humanity." 1 year later, the first human ambassadors arrived at the Galactic Council. They came in ships built from Vthkai wreckage. They came with weapons pointed at every vessel in range. They came with cold eyes and hard smiles. The elder speaker greeted them personally. His ancient hands were shaking. "Welcome to the Galactic Council," he said. "We are honored by your presence." The human ambassador, a woman named Sarah Chen, looked around the chamber. Every representative was silent. Every species was watching. "Thank you for the welcome," she said. Her voice was polite but carried an edge of iron beneath the surface. "We come in peace. We want to join your community. We want to trade, to learn, to grow together." "Of course," the elder speaker said quickly. "We would be delighted to have you. We have many things to offer: technology, knowledge, resources." "Good." Ambassador Chen smiled. It was a small smile, but something in it made the elder speaker's blood run cold. "We also come with a message, a simple message for every species in this chamber. A message for every civilization in the galaxy." "What message is that? Leave us alone." The ambassador's smile disappeared. Her eyes were hard as diamonds. "Do not threaten us. Do not attack us. Do not even think about invading our home. Because if you do, we will not just defend ourselves. We will follow you home. We will destroy everything you have built. We will end your species, and we will do it with a smile on our faces." The chamber was silent. No one moved. No one breathed. "The Vthkai learned this lesson the hard way," Ambassador Chen continued. "Their home world is now under human administration. Their fleet belongs to us. Their technology belongs to us. Their future belongs to us. They thought they were predators. They discovered they were prey." She looked around the chamber one more time, meeting the eyes of every representative. "Do not make their mistake. Humanity wants peace. Humanity offers friendship. But humanity will accept nothing less than respect. Threaten our children, and we will burn your worlds. Attack our homes, and we will end your civilizations. This is not a threat. This is a promise." The Galactic Council voted unanimously to accept humanity into their community. They voted to give humans the highest trade status. They voted to share all their technology freely. And they voted to reclassify Earth from pre-contact primitive to a new category that had never existed before: apex threat. Do not engage under any circumstances. In the centuries that followed, humanity would become one of the most respected species in the galaxy. They would make friends, build alliances, and create wonders that amazed everyone who saw them. But no one ever forgot the lesson of the Vthkai. No one ever forgot what happened when you threatened Earth. And no one ever dared to make that mistake again.